What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday and welcome into another edition of the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show. I am your host tonight, James Grande, joined alongside Henry Wilson. You can follow Henry at Henry13, Wilson13. Again, we've talked about this before. A-Rod, Henry's favorite player of all time. Henry, what's going on, man? Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. It's going well. How about yourself?
It's going. You and I were just talking a little bit before the stream as we record here, or the podcast here, as we record here on Thursday evening. I don't know how my Thursday slate's going to go because I played all Dodgers, so we're just kind of waiting to see. Maybe this will be a nice surprise when everyone listens to it in the morning and they're like, "Oh, the Dodgers scored 27 runs. Grande must have done great on Thursday." So,
or the Cade Povich threw 6 scoreless innings.
That also seems very likely on this slate. But shifting our focus over to the Friday slate, we have 10 games. There is a little mini 640 slate over on DraftKings if you want to take part in that. But the main slate on DraftKings is 10 games. Looking over things, it does, in fact, look like Coors Field is still on the docket here as the Baltimore Orioles travel into Colorado to take on the Rockies. What is your initial thoughts on this 10-gamer,
Henry? Yeah, I think it's intriguing. There's some really good pitching happening. A lot of aces out there. So I think it's going to be, a little harder to find some offense, which means maybe it is one that you kind of lean into Coors a little bit, just because there's less places to maybe pivot to. But I don't know. I think there's still some good values out there, some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, so let's dive in as I pull the slate up here, and we'll fix our. Oh God! Sometimes when you don't, when you're not oh my God, oh my gosh, we are everywhere right now. Hold on, I will figure this out. Here we go. I pressed the wrong button. I pressed the wrong button like 3 times. That'll be good for the audience. I'm so happy that technology is a thing. It is a very interesting pitching slate. Unfortunately for us, listed on DraftKings is every Angels pitcher imaginable, so we're gonna have to scroll through that. They are calling up and throwing a kid making his major league debut. So naturally, when that happens and the player has not been inserted to the player pool, we get every pitcher listed on that team. So we will, for the viewer. I mean, it's not a great viewing to see every Angels pitcher, but
we're not starting Hunter Strickland at 4,000. What?
No. What is his name again?
The one actually getting the start.
Caden Dana, right? Or is I think Caden Dana is starting on Friday. No, he's starting on. They're doing the double. Okay, Samuel Aldigiri is starting Friday, and Caden Dana, who is the first 100% Italian-born player, making his debut on Sunday. So the Angels are throwing Aldigiri, who's a lefty. He's the team's 8th best prospect. He is pitching for the Angels. And just by looking at things, if we just go to the Angels, I don't think he's in the player pool. I assume he will be added. Usually a DraftKings thing to do. He gets added. We'll see. Maybe not. But with that being said, let's go back to the top of the list. We'll start up at the top with Blake Snell, George Kirby, Framber Valdez, Seth Lugo. Those are our 9K pitchers or higher. What is your opinion on these 4? I think for me, there is one clear name, possibly 2. But how do you see it breaking down here, Henry?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think there's one clear, also possibly 2, maybe a 1A, 1B. I think Blake Snell's the 1A. Look, I realize the last outing didn't go as you would hoped if you paid over 10K against Seattle, thinking, man, this is going to be great. But look, he struggled with control, gave up 6 walks, which was super high pitch count then, only made it to 3 innings. But look at 5 starts before that. He averaged 11 strikeouts across 5 straight starts. The dude was insane. So, yeah, you might pay over 10K and get a dud again. but you're paying for the upside, and the upside is insane going up against the Marlins today.
Agreed. 6 walks. That happens. If you watch Blake Snell over the years, that is Blake Snell's kind of in a nutshell. Still had 5 strikeouts in 3 innings. It is what it is. He is a very volatile pitcher at times, but he's also been one of the probably 10 best pitchers in baseball over the last handful of years. So definitely like Snell. I don't know what has happened to this man right here. And that's why I was like kind of half in with like another top tier pitcher. Do you think that we're hitting a point in the year that like George Kirby, 155 innings, 27 starts is kind of collapsing down the street? Like, what is your take on Kirby here? And what is your take on Kirby lately?
Look, I love Kirby. I really believe in the talent. I don't think this is necessarily a breaking down. I mean, he threw 190 innings last season. He was fine. Like, I don't know why he would be struggling hitting, this innings. I think he just kind of has had some bad luck, a little rough go of it, but he still hasn't been pitching bad. Like, his stuff still looks good. He still had some good starts. And he now gets to face the Angels, who have been atrocious against right-handers. Like, really, really bad. In August, they have the lowest batting average, lowest OPS, second highest strikeout rate. Like, they're batting 186 against right-handers in August. So if you trust his talent, there's no reason that he shouldn't destroy the Angels here today.
Tell that to Kiter Montero. I played him on the Thursday early slate. I did cash.
Compare George Kirby to Kiter Montero. Come on now.
I was hoping that was the rebuttal. Okay. You're right. I'm not. I'm also a frustrated George Kirby season long owner. So you know what?
I feel it.
You know what, George? Maybe you are Kiter Montero these days. I agree. I mean, there's nothing I disagree with. He just has not looked good outside of a bunch of strikeouts in that first Detroit start. But like even the strikeouts have dipped for a guy who, has basically been at a strikeout per inning this year. It's just been a very weird stretch. I don't know how else to like equate it to anything. Any interest in the Valdez-Lugo matchup? For what it's worth, like I know Darian Blanco exists in the world, and he's the best left-handed hitter in the world. Maybe the universe, the whatever else is out there. They have definitely been worse against lefties than they have righties. Any Framber love?
There should probably be more love just because he's been pitching amazing. And they're a little worse against lefties. But, man, Royals are still just a tough offense. They don't strike out. It's not like Framber normally has as insane strikeout stuff as he has normally, recently. So, I don't know if these high strikeouts are going to hold. And against a team like Kansas City, I don't know. I don't love this spot for him.
I don't know. The strikeouts have been
insane. So maybe this is for real, and maybe I should be trusting him more in this spot. But I don't know. Kansas City scares me at this price. Maybe I should be more on him because he's been pitching way better than George Kirby has recently. So, maybe I should be giving a little more thought to him, but I think I'd still rather pay the $300 more to take George Kirby going against a bad Angels team than having to face these Royals.
We out on Lugo? He's looked pretty bad lately.
Yeah, even at his peak, the upside is still just not really there. You never know when he's going to have strikeouts. Houston's a good offense. Yeah, it's been a stretch of not great outings. No way I'm paying this price for Lugo.
Let's drop into the 8K tier. This is, I think, another very volatile list. I do think one name in particular for me stands out. What say you in this 8K tier?
One name sticks out for me. I'd be curious if it's the same one, but for me, it's Pablo Lopez. Yeah. I just think that he has the upside compared to the rest of these guys. He can be one of the best strikeout pitchers in all of baseball. He had a great outing against the Cardinals last time out, 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, didn't give up a run. And that's still a decent Cardinals offense. It doesn't strike out a ton. So that's a good outing. I really think he has a lot of upside. Toronto's not scary. So for 8,600, I think you're getting an ace here, and you're not paying the ace prices for him.
Yeah, and you know what? I said it all year long, and the home run was what was biting him. Every metric suggested he was having as good of a season this year as he was last year, except ERA, except outcome, right? Like he was an all-star last year and he had largely unlucky numbers.
Yep. His whip is
And
1 point
basically across
lower
the
than it
board.
was last season. His ERA
Yes.
is mostly bad luck. Like he has a
Yep.
3.52 expected ERA compared to his
Yeah.
4.26 actual ERA. Like
Yeah.
if he just had that expected ERA of 3.52 with a 1.14 whip and an over 25% strikeout rate, no one would be concerned about him, and they'd still be considering him one of the top pitchers in baseball. So yeah, bad luck. He's still a great pitcher. Doesn't worry me at all.
Agreed. I would say the only concern, and it's a very small concern, would be the Blue Jays aren't a very strikeout heavy team. They do put the ball in play, but 8,600 for Lopez is too cheap when he is like really humming, and that's what we have right now. Is there anything else in the 8K tier? Again, Tyler Anderson not included because he is not pitching. Is there anything else in the 8K tier that catches your eye?
Ben Lively intrigues me a little bit as one of these cheaper options. Look, the strikeout upside isn't super high. He's not going to be a big strikeout guy, but he just continues to pitch pretty well. He's just going out and getting a lot of quality starts. He's going against a not very good Pittsburgh team, so like he can easily get to that like 5-6 strikeouts at least. And I just think 8,100 is a pretty good price for a guy who could pretty easily go out there and get you 20 points.
Agreed. And I've expected it all year. I've expected regression all year. It hasn't happened.
No,
And good for Ben Lively for waiting till his age 30 season to like really put it together. But hey, we're Ben Lively might be a playoff starter this time next month. So we'll
yeah,
see. I don't hate that. Pittsburgh's offense has obviously been bad. When we go below $8,000, I feel like I'm just gonna exclude. I just gotta get them. I can't look at it anymore. I can't.
yeah,
I can't look at it anymore. We already know that there's a rookie lefty starting, and we could talk about that when we talk about the Mariners offense if we want. What about the 8K and under 8K tier? What is there anything that really piques your interest?
Oof, there is not a lot. It's pretty painful. I think McGill's the only one that I actually like could see going after just because I do like his talent
Yep.
and the White Sox are rough, but like it's his first game back. Who knows how many innings he's gonna go, if he's gonna really have his stuff. So sure, it's a cheap one and it's against the White Sox, but it's still not a risk I know if I want to take.
He's gonna be popular. That's
Yeah,
my take. Only because that's just what happens, right? When we talk about the White Sox, like
yep.
the White Sox are just typically higher rostered. So um, that would probably be the play for me too. I would not necessarily shy away from JP Sears. I know he's coming off the tough start against Milwaukee. Texas has, they are I think without question the biggest disappointment of the year, just considering um, the team, the construction. I mean, they won the World Series last year, and they're 10 games under 500, right? So
Yeah.
their offense has been a large part of that. They're bottom 10 in OPS this year against left-handed pitching. They're bottom 10 in WOBA against left-handed pitching. They have a 22.5% strikeout against lefties. It's he's coming off a bad start, but JP Sears probably had the best stretch of his career prior to that bad start. Any thoughts on Sears, or you staying away?
Yeah, I mean, so I just shit on the Angels for batting 186 against righties in the month. Do you know what the Rangers are batting against lefties this month?
It's got to be bad.
179.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's bad. Like a 57 WRC plus in August against lefties, over 25% strikeout rate. Like they have not been good against lefties at all. And so Sears, a guy who we've seen like some real talent out of him. I mean, look at those previous outings before the Milwaukee one. Like he was
Right.
dealing. So yeah, the upside's there. It's a good opponent here than Texas, who's just been struggling super hard. Yeah, I could see taking a shot on Sears here.
I'm kind of with you after that. I don't think there's much I'd go to. We can obviously, if you want, you can tempt fate with Albert Suarez in cores. The Rockies have kind of like, granted, Miami pitching does
Yep.
wonders for a lot of teams. We've talked about Albert Suarez a lot. Another one of those guys who's gotten really, really, really lucky this year.
Yeah.
But some pitchers just have those years, right? Where one side of the luck coin is flipped, and that's what it is. Like you're lucky or you're not. Like Pablo Lopez had been unlucky up until the second half. Albert Suarez, pitched in the KBO the last 2 years. He has an expected FIP of 458. His Sierra this year is sitting at, I just had it and I scrolled past it. My apologies, is 460. And his ERA is 318. 41% fly ball rate as well. Like these are not really like numbers that people get away with at the major league level. And he just has, right? 286 BABIP. I mean, the balls in play, like he's getting extremely lucky on batted balls as well. 80% left on base rate. Look, maybe he's just going to be lucky. And would that warrant consideration for you? Like they took him out of the rotation. He came back. He's allowed 2 earned runs in 4 starts since being back in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cheap. And the thing is, again, I don't really believe in him as a starter long term. He has a really good fastball. So, like, that's what you can get lucky and you can get by and have good outings with a really good fastball because you can get some strikeouts. You can get a team that's just not hitting well and survive. But, like, long term, when you have a good pitch and it's just your fastball, like, it's going to run out eventually. Like, teams are going to get to you. But the thing is, you can still catch lightning in a bottle. You can get a good outing out of him. It's in Coors, so that scares me that it'll happen here. But look, if you really need to go for the cheap option at 6,200, it could blow up in your face. But like, there is some upside there that he could go out there and actually have a decent outing.
Yeah, well, I think like multi lineups. I played Kyle Freeland the other day. Obviously, different scenario, but I mean, Colorado's offense, although waking up, has been bottom feeding all year long.
So. Yeah, they're still not good.
Let's shift our focus over to catcher. Any spend ups or over $4,000 catchers that catch your
eye? Over 4K, I most likely I'm going to be, going down and under 4K. I don't mind Yanner Diaz. We talked about don't really trust Lugo, and Diaz has just been hitting the ball super well recently. So I kind of like that. If you're going to spend up, he's not a super high spend up and has just been hitting great.
That would probably be mine as well. With Lugo's struggles of late. I don't mind Austin Wells either. He's been good.
Yeah.
For a lot of the year, and they're hitting him in a very key part of their lineup. He's going to hit 5th. So I like Austin Wells 43. If we're talking about the punts, though, what do we got for sub 4K?
Yeah, I really like just under 4K at 3,800. Ryan Jeffers has just been crushing the ball. He's having a great season, provides power. Obviously, like against Gausman, but Gausman has been up and down. He's, not been super trustworthy. So with how well Jeffers has been hanging the ball, I think he's a pretty good value at this kind of mid-tier. I also, if you're not going Sears, Jonah Heim at 3,300 is a guy who just has traditionally crushed lefties. And so, he hasn't been anything amazing as of lately, but just I trust him against lefty to do some damage. So I think can be a good value.
Yeah, and honestly, you could play the other catcher on the Rangers if they play both. Carson Kelly's been the probably better of the two lately. But the Rangers are a team that has like traditionally played 2 catchers. I mean, you think Mitch Garver was always playing with Jonah Heim as well. So I think both those catchers are in play. Dude, James McCann, if he's in the lineup, has historically been a guy who has hit lefties well. He's playing a lot. And I don't know if they just don't like Rutschman behind the plate, if they need to give Rutschman days off because he's obviously been really bad for like a long stretch of time. I mean, he has not hit very well for a couple months now. James McCann is playing every day, or almost every day at this point, or he did for a long period of time. If he's in the lineup, he's going to be extremely popular in Coors Field.
Yeah, he's one I've definitely been turning to with him playing a lot, and he just keeps hitting well. And yeah, I think it is just a situation where they're trying to keep Adley fresh. they know they're going to the playoffs and they want to keep him healthy, but you have to keep him hitting every day. So move him around, keep him out of the plate, and let James McCann get some at-bats. And so we'll take the value.
Any thoughts on Drew Romo, who's been playing more for Colorado? Had really good numbers at AAA, and has hits in 4 straight starts. I don't know if he starts here because he started 2 in a row, but if Romo's in the lineup, any thoughts to him?
I mean, yeah, if he is in the lineup again, it's 3,100. You're taking some shots here. So definitely, it's in Colorado. Again, we talked about Albert Suarez of not being a guy we trust.
Right.
So absolutely, if he's in there, I think he's worth taking a shot with.
Let's head on to first base, where Shohei Ohtani, Vladimir Guerrero, Freddie Freeman, Michael Toglia, Jake Berger, Vinny Pasquantino, Pete Alonso, and Salvi all reside over 5K. Do any of those names are any of those names core pieces for you?
I don't think I'd call any of them core pieces. I think there's guys up here that I would consider. Obviously facing Pablo Lopez is rough, but Vladdy has been unreal. He is just crushing the ball. So, if you want to ride the hot hand there, I think if you're paying up, I don't hate paying up for Vladdy, even against Pablo Lopez, because he's just been unbelievable.
Agreed. I would probably give Alonso a look against Cannon. But
yeah, if you want to stack Mets against Cannon, go for it. Cannon is not a very good pitcher. I think go to Alonso, or if you want to go cheaper and go JD Martinez even at the 4,400. I think both are decent options here. Both have been hitting decently. And I think Mets will be a pretty easy stack here against Jonathan Cannon.
Yeah, and the good thing about either of those players are you can play JD Martin in the outfield if you really wanted to play if you wanted to play them both. In the 4K tier, what do you got?
Outside of that, JD Martinez is one of my favorites there, but I think outside of him, Alec Burleson going against Stroman, again, it's in Yankee Stadium. Stroman's not a guy I trust, and Burleson just continues to produce. It's been kind of quiet lately, but he still is playing well. He is leading off most of the time for this Cardinals lineup, and I just really like him as a hitter.
Yeah, I mean, Stroman has significantly been worse against lefties. So you're going to get Burleson hitting second. Lefty bat against Stroman has been very, 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 very profitable. So I like the Burleson call. That would also be my play in the 4K tier. Dropping below $4,000. I think there are a couple names that I have my eyes on. Josh Bell being one of them. Clayton Kershaw continues to struggle. I know Bell isn't hitting as well as he did when he first arrived, but 3,900 is a good price for him. David Fry, interesting eligibility here with the first base only. But I like the price because he's facing a lefty. He only does damage against lefties. He cannot hit righties. So Bell, Fry would be the first 2 names that really popped for me. Do you agree on one, both, none? What do you think?
Definitely David Fry. And this is more pro David Fry than anti Josh Bell. I just think, David Fry against the lefty. This is a guy that we were paying $5,500 for not that long ago. So 3,800 price for him against Falter. Just seems like a great matchup of someone that we know can do some damage. So I definitely really like that. And hey, we talked up Blake Snell, which means Jonah Bride is going to hit a homer against him, right? That just seems to how things work with him. I'm not serious. I'm probably not playing Jonah Bride, but it just seems like that's how it's been with him.
You did, by the way, interesting way you worded that. You said probably not playing Jonah Bride. So you were leaving the door open a little bit there. Because we do understand here that Jonah Bride has ruined more nights the second half of the year than any other randomly bad player in Major League Baseball. So
it's ridiculous.
Salute to Jonah Bride for hitting in the middle of a Marlins lineup that he found a home in. Anything cheaper? Is there any punts that we take a look at? Where's Cavadas here? I know he's facing up against I don't even see him. Is he even a first baseman anymore? I don't have the Angels. That's because I don't have the Angels. I don't have the Angels selected.
Yeah, he is 2,200. Against George Kirby, obviously, I'm not going to expect much from him. He hasn't done much yet. He's facing George Kirby, but look, he's 2,200, so he can return value at that price if he gets a hit.
What about Luke and Baker has randomly hit third and fourth since William Contreras has gone down. RBI double in the first game, he hit third, and then a 2-walk, 1 RBI stolen base game in the second. Any thought to Luke and Baker if he's sitting in the middle of that lineup?
Oh, absolutely. I'm giving thought to any guy who's hitting in the middle of a lineup against a pitcher I don't trust for 2,100. Like the fact that you can stack him with your Burleson or whatever for 2,100. Again, he just doesn't have to do a lot to return value. So it's definitely worth thinking about.
In a good ballpark to hit
Yep.
into. It's a great ballpark in Yankee Stadium. Second base we go. Anything? I mean, I have not found myself spending up at second very often. I also haven't found myself spending anything over like $4,000 at second lately. Do you share that opinion? Like, what's your thoughts as a whole on second? Because like I'm just looking at the top of this list, and I don't like a lot of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's just been consistently so many good cheap options at second base, and that continues today. That I just haven't been spending up here. Obviously, there's sometimes exceptions where you get like Ketel Marte against a bad lefty. That sure I'm going to spend up, but for the most part, I just want to be cheap here. And like sure you could go against Altuve against Lugo if you really don't trust Lugo, and he provides some value. But again, 5,600. Do I really want to pay that much for Altuve when I can pay 4,200 for Michael Garcia, who's been hitting the ball well recently? I'd rather do that.
I agree. And I don't really have much to add. I only thing I will add was Brendan Rodgers double donged on Thursday, and all he does is hit at home. Yeah. He loves himself some Coors Field. So if you wanna, bank on like the Coors Field buff that Brendan Rodgers gets, I mean, he's on a long line of Colorado Rockies that like hitting in Colorado, right? I mean, the numbers are ridiculous at home versus on the road. So that would be the only other thing I'd have to add to like the 4K tier.
Yep.
Sub 4K. What do we got? Because this is, I think, a position of value and has been for quite a while. What do we got here at second?
Someone that immediately like jumped out to me. Andres Jimenez being 3,600. Like, look, I know he's not having a very good season. It's been rough lately, but against the lefty, which he's better against lefties, 3,600 for him just seems too cheap. Even with the cold stretch, him not hitting super well, this just seems like it's dropped far enough that it's a value I can't ignore.
And like he does, like Pittsburgh's bullpen has absolutely imploded as well.
Yeah.
So even getting past Falter isn't like if Falter has a decent start, it's not the worst thing when he hands the ball over to the Pittsburgh pen. So I don't disagree on Andres Jimenez at all. Gavin Lux hit third the last time they faced a righty. If you want to go to Lux, Jeff McNeil 3,200 has been really really solid. Shunk, I don't know if you saw it, he homered the other day. I mean, Aaron Shunk has been a lifetime minor leaguer, but if he's in the lineup, 2,900, you won't find anyone at Coors cheaper.
I don't know if he's hitting much against righties or not.
No, he is not. He's not. I mean, he's not hitting against anyone. Someone who is kind of hitting, Edouard Julien, like he is obviously live to be pinch hit for. Any consideration for Julien, who does have a lot of power from the second base position?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is a guy that we loved early in the year. It looked like he was like legit and going to be a lock in this Twins lineup, providing a lot of offense. And then it just died. He got sent down. It's never really come back. But look, it's a guy that we've seen do it. It's not someone who we haven't seen actually produce results. So for 2,700, I mean, he's, looking to hit the ball a little bit recently, and he provides some power. So absolutely, I'll go back to the well with him.
And salute Will Wagner. We'll see if he's in the lineup or not, but he's been hitting ninth when he is in the lineup. Homered the other day when nobody played him, and then went over when everyone played him. Go to third. I love Jose Ramirez against lefties. He absolutely smashes lefties. Jazz Chisholm continues his assault on baseballs and the base paths. He's been an excellent addition for the New York Yankees. We talked Vladdy. Bregman was ejected on Thursday after one at bat. So we'll see how he bounces back on the Friday slate. Good spot. Royce Lewis has been good at home, but he has been largely terrible lately.
Real cold lately, but
Ryan McMahon over 5K. What do we got for a breakdown over 5K at third base?
yeah, I think my top two are Jose Ramirez and Jazz Chisholm at the top. I think they're just hitting much better than the rest of this, group right now. I mean, we already talked about Vladdy, so that's why I skipped over him because I like Vladdy as well, obviously. But yeah, Jose Ramirez against the lefty, he's just so good. So I mean, yeah, the numbers aren't crazy recently, but look, 6,500 is still not a crazy price to pay for someone like Jose Ramirez. But if it is too much for you, yeah, Jazz Chisholm 5,500 in Yankee Stadium against Eric Fetty, who, yeah, is having a good season, but we're not shying away from him. He's just been unreal. This power surge he's had, which he could very much keep. He has the raw power tools, and in Yankee Stadium, like a full season Yankee Stadium, Jazz could hit a lot of homers.
Yeah, he's in full season Yankee Stadium. He's 35, and if he gets his OBP up a little bit, he might be 35-40 by the time.
Not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. He also, again, full season, he needs to stay healthy because he has largely
Yeah,
not done so.
We've never seen that, but
yeah, 55 is expensive when, if you're playing Jazz, that means you're probably also trying to include specific Yankee outfielders as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to get very pricey.
Really
so
expensive.
we'll see if it's possible when we build the lineup at the end of the show, but we'll see. But I do like Jazz 55. It just might. We'll see if we're priced out at 5,500. That's what it goes. That's really what. Yeah. Dropping below $5,000. What do we got?
Yeah, I think there's some really good values in here. I like Matt Chapman. He's been hitting really well lately, but I think I might like the guy under him, and Vientos even more. Vientos has just been crushing the ball, and again, against Cannon, definitely going to look to stacking some Mets probably, and he just provides really good power. And the guy below him provides great power too, Max Muncy, obviously against Gallen, and we haven't seen a lot out of Muncy yet, but we did have a double homer game from him already. And we know that he can go in and hit 2 or 3 homers in a game real quick. So I think all three of those guys are like really good power options that are in okay matchups. I mean, obviously Muncy facing Gallen's not a great matchup, but still, I think all three really good power options for that price.
Yeah, they are literally that, and they're all Matt, Mark, and Max. So
Yeah.
pick one of the three amigos.
What
there.
names you want? Yeah.
Yeah. Eugenio Suarez has been really good against lefties, really good run production lately. So if you want to play Suarez, you can. And then we get to like this sub 4K tier. Nolan Arenado has been fine lately, 3,900. I don't hate that. Dylan Moore only hits lefties. We do have a lefty on the mound for the Angels making their debut again. Their eighth prospect in their system. But I gotta say, Ramon Urias is on a stretch like no Ramon Urias stretch we've ever seen before. He has been really good lately. I think he's one of the better values on the day, considering we get Austin Gomber in Coors Field and he's still sub $4,000.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you have a guy crushing the ball like this, facing a lefty in Coors, like only 3,800 for someone who's in one of the best lineups in all of baseball, hitting in Coors. Like, it just makes sense. Obviously, he's not going to hold an over 1,000 OPS over a long stretch, but would he do that if he was facing a lefty every day in Coors? Yeah, probably. So, like, yeah, 3,800 is a great price for him here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Urias. That feels close to plug and play-ish. Anything else at third? Any values? Anything that we should take note of? Like, is there anything worth playing down here?
Paul DeJong continues to just be a master in Kansas City. Never thought that was going to happen, but he is all of a sudden just like crushing the ball here for the Royals. Obviously, having to face Valdez is tough. Valdez doesn't give up a lot of homers, and that's kind of the value you're hoping you get from DeJong. But hey, he's probably getting in the lineup at 3,600. Maybe this hot streak will continue. He's been great.
I will say my only pushback. I have nothing like negative to say about him in Kansas City. The only thing I'd say is he's largely all this production this year has largely come against right-handed pitching.
This is true.
He has been a weird reverse splits guy. Not saying he couldn't hit a home run here for Amber. We've seen Paul DeYoung hit home runs against lefties in bunches in the past. It's just this year specifically, he's been good against righties. So that's my only pushback. But I do agree on like everything else you said. He has been wildly good for the Royals. Even position changing too, moving over to third base. So it's been a great addition for the Royals, who arguably had the best trade deadline amongst anyone across Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Let's go to short, a loaded position where we do have Gunnar Henderson in cores. Expect that to be a very popular play. It is lefty. Gunnar has been not great of late, but it is cores. Gomber has not been necessarily great against lefties throughout his career. We have Bobby Witt against a left-handed pitcher, $6,700. Ezekiel Tovar had a very nice series against the Marlins, especially the double dong that almost was a triple dong, just a few feet away from the 3 home runs there. Francisco Lindor continues to be one of probably the most underappreciated baseball player across the league. We have Corey Seager, who's homering every day. We have O'Neal Cruz, who has been, frankly, better than I think anyone could have expected this year. I mean, please lead me to the light and try to tell me who to play, because I'd like to play them all. Obviously, I understand that's not possible, but like, who stands out the most to you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's Lindor here today. And again, you can have arguments for all of these guys, but like I think Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt Jr. are great, but like Witt's in a tougher matchup. Gunner's been struggling, and they're so expensive. That price is so high when you can get these really quality hitters and go to Tovar, Lindor, Seager. But Seager's still not been great in the lefty-lefty matchups this season. And so Lindor going against Cannon, who's just been fantastic. Like I think he's the best in this very rich tier here.
Agreed. And like, again, you can play any of them.
Yeah.
Any of them.
I'm not like, you're not crazy if you decide to go to Tovar or Witt or Gunnar, any of these guys over Lindor. I'm not gonna be like, wow, that's really stupid of you. I just think Lindor is the favorite for me.
Agreed. I have no objections. So we'll just move on, because I just a very solid position.
Yes.
Sub 5K, Zach Nato did homer off a righty on Thursday. That's been something that's eluded him so far through 2 years. It's been very lefty dominant, but it is good to see the power on display against a righty. Anthony Volpe has been much better, much more recently. Basically, ever since he got ridiculed by John Boy and Aaron Boone backed him, he has started hitting. We have JP Crawford against the lefty, probably not going to go there. Willie Castro, you can definitely go. He probably leads off here. Mason Wynn against Stroman. What do you think of this 4K tier here?
Yeah, I mean, this tier also remains rich. I think there's a lot of good options. My favorite two are probably both the ones going in Yankee Stadium. I like Volpe. I think he's been hitting better, but my favorite is Mason Wynn. He's the cheaper of this group, and he's just been crushing the ball recently. So he's having a fantastic season. I think it's kind of being overlooked a little bit how great of a season he really is having. And yeah, I mean, we look at that 4 straight multi-hit games there, including a couple doubles, a homer. He's going to be leading off in Yankee Stadium against Stroman. Like, Mason Wynn is a great price here at 4,200.
Yeah, and the protection around him has been better too. So lots of run scoring lately. I think he hasn't stolen as much bases as we'd like yet, just 10 on the year, but that he's speedy. There's a strikeout or a stolen base upside as well. Dipping our toes into the sub 4K tier. Jacob Wilson is back with the Oakland Athletics after a short 1 at-bat sample. He hit the IL. He came back for 2 games. He got on and did something productive in both those games. He's 3,400 against John Gray. I'm really striking out everywhere else.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot under 4K for being like a really rich position. It's like it's so stacked at the top that it kind of takes away from many of the cheaper options. I think the only one I'll call out is Geraldo Perdomo. Yeah, he's going against the lefty. I always like him against lefties. He really can provide some value there. And this Diamondbacks offense has just been fantastic lately. And so he's always a pretty good value when he gets to face a lefty.
Yeah, and we actually saw him lead off the other day
Yeah.
against lefty. Who knows if that's going to remain, because Corbin Carroll in that same game hit seventh and then hit 2 home runs, and including a grand slam. So we'll see if Perdomo leads off. But if the 2023 National League All-Star Geraldo Perdomo does in fact lead off, 3,200 is a great price for against a struggling Clayton Kershaw. So I agree there. Let's finish this thing off with the outfield, and we'll build a lineup like we usually do at the end of the show. I mean, another like it's similar to shortstop, right? It's hard to really just like pluck out one or two of these names and like that we want to use. Is there any few that like stand out, and why is it Anthony Santander at the top of the list?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Santander has just been fantastic. Granted, the more of the power comes from the left side against righties, but like a little bit more power. He's great from both sides of the plate, and it's often Gomber in Coors. So like, I don't really care what he go lefty for all I care. Like it doesn't really matter. Yeah. No. Yeah, I really like him. Jordan Alvarez obviously has been on a tear recently too. He homered in 3 straight at bats the other day. So I really like him here at 6,100. And you know, we got to talk about this. 7,200 and 7,000 for Ohtani.
That is.
Can you pay that price for any hitters? Like, is any hitter actually worth that price? Because man, I just don't think if I can. I don't think I can do it.
So I think the case for obviously, like, I'll say Aaron Judge is live for a double dong every single time he plays, right? So that's your
hey, he has to do that.
You're correct. And then Ohtani, you need a home run and the stolen bases that he's given you, right? Like that's so like I would say like you're right, but also they're doing it.
I know.
Like that's the thing. Like I've seen on multiple occasions over the last couple of days, like comparisons to Babe Ruth, right? And that we have 2 Babe Ruths literally in baseball at the same time. And it's kind of true because there's just not anybody that have done this. This is like Sosa McGuire, right? When they were in their home run chase. And there's no steroids linked to either of these players. Plus one of them, there's only been one 42-42 player ever. Right?
Yeah.
It's A-Rod. That's the only 42. Like so like I understand what you're saying, but like look at we got the game that you need from Shohei, right? 2 hits, a home run, 2 stolen bases.
31 points. Yeah. If he's done that, it was worth the 7,000. Yeah.
So like that's now Eric Fetty, good pitcher. Definitely live to not allow Aaron Judge 2 home runs. But again, this is his 3rd 50 home run season in his career already. So like he has as good odds to hit 2 home runs as basically anyone else has 1, right?
No. I don't disagree with you. And I think they're rightly priced. They should be priced this high because if they're cheaper, like they're an auto lock. Absolutely. Yes. I just think it's really hard at this price because you're talking they need to have that couple stolen bases, homer and double to get value. Even if they homer, that doesn't even necessarily do enough to return the value here. So I just think they can do it, but they have to continue to be absolutely insane. And the risk of them having an 0-for-4 game and you getting like 0 or even 5 or 10 points out of $7,000 of your budget is just rough.
I think it's a great point. And on a slate with cores and on a slate with like top tier pitching, like Blake Snell, like George Kirby, like Framber Valdez, it does pose the question, right? Do you risk Aaron Judge getting you 1-for-4 with a home run? Does not do you anything at 7,200. So I agree. It is a healthy discussion there. I I'm never gonna say no if you're convicted on Otani hitting a home run and stealing 2 bases, and I'm never gonna tell you no if you're convicted that Aaron Judge is in Yankee Stadium and he's as live as anyone else in the world to hit 3 home runs, right? So,
Yes.
but I do agree. I think it's I kind of like the spot for Juan Soto a little better than Judge. Fetty has suffered a little dip to lefties, so Soto would be in play as much as anyone else.
Totally.
Jordan, you talked about Santander has infinite amounts of power. John asked me the other day if I would shy away from Brent Doyle at 59, and I told him I would not in cores. I still feel the same way. I don't think I would shy away from Brent Doyle at 59. If I'm stacking against Albert Suarez, I mean he'll be low owned. Anytime we get a good team in cores, the Rockies are completely forgotten about. So if you want to get a low owned Brent Doyle, he's 2020 this year. What about he's having an amazing season for a guy they just figured they did good defense out of. Anything else in this 5K tier? Not a lot for like from Kowser for me, but like Carroll, Stanton, J-Rod gets a lefty, Blackman's here. Brian Reynolds has been good. Like what about the rest of this 5K tier?
Yeah, I mean, I see viability, across here. Again, both Kowser and Carroll, lefty. I don't know if I want to pay this much for. Granted, both guys can hit lefties. It's not like either of them have been bad against lefties, but I still think this might be a bit of a high price for that. But yeah, Julio's been heating up recently. Stanton's been crushing the ball recently. I think all of these, low 5K guys are viable. I think I probably lean towards like that Julio and Stanton pair at this bottom end, but really these are all pretty decent options still.
Let's spitball some 4K plays. Who is catching your eye here in the 4K tier?
Yeah, one guy for me, going back to Colorado, Nolan Jones at 4,600. I know he's had a crazy disappointing season for what everybody thought he was going to do this year, but a lot of that's been injury. I still think that he can be good, and we're talking about in Coors. He's facing the righty. 4,600 is pretty cheap for him here. It seems like a pretty good value if you want to go after that.
Disappointing has definitely been a way to describe it. That's
okay, incredibly disappointing.
That's pretty accurate.
If you where he was being drafted, if you drafted Nolan Jones, you're hurting. It's been rough.
Yeah,
but he's healthy. He's hitting the ball a little bit. It's a good matchup. Good price.
Agreed. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just also disappointed in the season Nolan Jones is having. Arozarena will get a lefty here. Obviously, great to get him out of Seattle. A couple home runs this week in Seattle. Now we get him out of Seattle. He's waking up. Maybe the manager change really just lit some fire under Seattle there. Sedmo lefty. Probably won't be in the lineup. We talked JD Mart. Adolis does hit lefties.
Dude, I can't do it. No.
I know. I agree. I'm with you. Luis Robert, and looked like he was kind of coming back to life. He's kind of cratered out again. JJ Bleday has been super, super good. Had a 5-hit game on the Thursday slate. 900 OPS over his last 10. Bunch of home runs lately. John Gray's kind of bad, no?
I'm all over Oakland here. Both I love JJ Bleday and Lawrence Butler. We're talking 4,200 and 4,000.
Did Butler have a good game? Did Butler have a good game?
Did he have a good game? 3 homers? Yeah. What's that? 5
Second
homers?
time this year, by the way, that Lawrence Butler has had 3 homers.
3 homer games this season. That's insane. This dude is good. I tell you what, get some shares of Lawrence Butler for next season if you can, because my goodness, this dude's and Oakland's gonna be playing in a AAA park next season. Hit a lot of home runs, and Lawrence Butler and JJ Bleday here against John Gray, I think, are just crazy good value.
Agreed. $4,000 for Lawrence Butler. That's pretty good.
That's nuts. I think JJ Bleday is a great value, and I don't really understand how Lawrence Butler is cheaper than him. It's nuts.
Yeah, the algorithm's not catching up to Lawrence Butler there. That's kind of been the case since he moved into the leadoff spot. Last day before the All-Star break, 3 home runs. Only reason I know that, I had him in my lineup. I was very happy to see Lawrence Butler at $2,500 triple dong.
It's pretty much amazing since then.
He has not slowed down at all. I think there's actually a pretty interesting list here right under Lawrence Butler. Wyatt Langford has slowly been better. Had a big home run the other day, a bunch of hits the day before. The Big Christmas nickname is the best
Yeah.
nickname in the game. And let me tell you something, Big Christmas has been incredible lately. He hits lefties really well against Bailey Falter. This is he is a ticking time bomb waiting to happen every time the ball hits his bat. I love 3,900 for Big Christmas. Eloy Jimenez, I know he's kind of been slumping a little bit, but another Oriole hitter that's going to be in the middle of their lineup, probably 6, 7, hitting $3,900. I think those three names are pretty intriguing in Langford, Noel, and Jimenez.
Totally agreed. I like all of them. Wyatt Langford's my favorite. Again, there's a guy that we know has insane talent. Again, maybe you're a little disappointed by his season because the expectations were super high for him. But like the expectations should not be really any lower for what he can do at the plate than they were at the beginning of the season. And against lefties, he's still been crushing the ball. Like over 920 OPS against lefties on the season. Like he is really good against them at 3,800 or 3,900. This is way too cheap for Wyatt Langford.
Completely agreed. And we shall move down. Any other values that pique your interest? Victor Robles returned to lineup, hit a home run this week. Sam Hilliard is still cheap in cores. We don't know if he's going to play or not, but when he's in the lineup, he's been relatively productive. Brendan Donovan, 3,600. Matt Wallner, 36. Like, what is your take on the rest of this 3K tier?
Yeah, I don't love like this mid 3K tier. Obviously, like I think there are guys that can provide some value, but again, I think that that higher 3,000 tier is so rich that I like those guys better. And if you're gonna go lower, like I might as well just punt all the way and take like a Trevor Larnach, or if Victor Scott is in the lineup. I think both are guys who can provide value who are just even cheaper. And so I think I'd rather go down there.
The Larnach price is a little bit interesting, no? He's been mid threes, low fours for like a lot of the year. And he's in a good stretch, and he's now $3,100. That feels a little mispricey.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. It seems cheap. And again, he shouldn't be much. He's not been hitting great most of the season, and it's going to be 0-for-4 a lot of days. Like He can also double homer in a day. Like he has real power. And yeah, he is hitting well recently. So 3,100 feels pretty nice.
Randall Grishik homered on the Thursday slate. He gets a lefty. We know he'll be in the lineup. Jaquan Bay was sent back to AAA once again. I mean, he can't figure it out. Yastrzemski gets Adam Oler. I don't know. We haven't really talked a lot of Giants outside of Matt Chapman, but we don't really need to talk a lot of Giants. They haven't necessarily been good. I don't know if there's anything. Robbie Grossman will hit third. I think that's hilarious. You know what? I do have one question. I'm Jason Hayward was in the lineup for the Astros on Thursday. Has a 2-run RBI double. It's Jason Hayward.
This dude can still hit,
but he kind of just got squeezed out, right? Yeah. In LA. Like it was just an unfortunate scenario for him.
Totally think so, especially for someone who doesn't have very good defense. Their DH spot is locked up, so they have to run him out in the outfield. They have a lot of guys they can bounce around. He just kind of got squeezed out, but like he can still hit if they're going to run him out there. 2,500, why not take a shot? He can have productive days real easily.
I agree. 2,500. Seth Lugo's been struggling. Anything else?
Victor Scott, 2,200.
Victor Scott, yeah, Victor Scott.
He's coming alive a little bit lately, and 2,200. Again, in a pretty good matchup in Yankee Stadium, dude can easily return that value.
Long list of players that got sent down and then changed their stance and got recalled and had suddenly raked. So shout out to the Cardinals for fixing Victor Scott, but not Jordan Walker. All right, let's get to the lineup portion. We don't have to start a pitcher. We can. Lawrence Butler was a plug, right? Like we're gonna plug Lawrence Butler.
Oh yeah, let's follow up the triple dong day. Put in Lawrence Butler. I think Ramon Urias, I think, is a lock too.
Yep, that's I put I combined both.
Yes.
I combined first name and last name there. Ramon Urias there at third. What else do we want to do? We can go back to pitcher. Probably Snell here was pretty much a lock, I think, for the both of us.
Yeah, I think his upside is just too ridiculous to not take the shot, even though we know there's some risk.
SP2.
I don't like going Pablo Lopez. I just think 8,600 is pretty cheap, and he, I think, has just as much upside as anybody else on the slate.
Down. What else would you want to look at? We have 3,900. We can punt catcher here. If that's the direction we're probably going to spend down at second base as well. What catcher are you interested in here?
Do we want to hope that McCann's starting against the lefty and Coors?
Yep.
I think that seems like a pretty good move.
Yep, for sure. Second base value play. Gavin Lux.
Yes.
Gallen's a good pitcher. Julian 2,700. Like what's your thoughts on second here?
Yeah, I don't hate Lux, but yeah, Gallen's kind of tough. I think I'd rather go just above him and go to either Geloff or Jimenez.
Okay, let's play Jimenez. You were very high on Jimenez, and yes. I agree. I
just think this is too much value for him.
All right, let's go. Shortstop's a position we're going to spend up on. You were very fond of Lindor. Do you want to plug Lindor $5,600, or is there a value you'd rather play?
I also really like Mason Wynn at 42. I think that's also an awesome play.
Do you want to do this then? Do you want to? We can stack the 1-2, do a little correlation for the cards, and we'll play Burleson hitting second.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, 3,900 for our final two lineup spots.
That's great because it's a tier that we really liked.
Now it is, but also we could always do this if you're high on cards. They'll probably hit Victor Scott 9th, so you have the wraparound 9-1-2 when that comes back around, and then you have $5,600 for a final outfielder, which I don't know if we want to be in this tier, but
yeah, because you can go Rooker then and go Rooker Butler, or Rooker Butler Scott. Yeah, I think that's good. And if you don't like that, you can then just keep the 3,900 and go Wyatt Langford and Mr. Christmas
and John Kenzie and John Kenzie, Big Christmas Noel. I mean, I can't get enough of that name.
Yeah, Noel Langford or Scott Rooker. I think both are like really good.
Okay, so for the lineup, for the audio listeners, Blake Snell, Pablo Lopez, James McCann, Alec Burleson, Andres Jimenez, Ramon Urias, Mason Wynn, Lawrence Butler, and we had a pairing. John Kenzie, Noel, and Wyatt Langford is one pairing. Victor Scott and Brent Rooker was another for some Cardinals Oakland correlation there. We will be back, me and Henry, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, breaking down this slate even further. You're on the playbook, right, for Friday?
Yep.
You're on the playbook?
I will.
Henry will have your playbook live on fantasyalarm.com. You can check it out there with your All-Pro subscription. Big salute to Henry for stepping up into the box and hitting a home run as a corny dad joke there. I drop the mic because we just got to get out of here. So we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Big salute to Henry. You can follow him on the old X machine. You see it right there at Henry13 Wilson 13. You can follow me on the X machine at _real_Grande. Sorry, both of our X handles are so challenging and long to say, but we appreciate everyone for listening. We'll catch you guys next time.